Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the 2024 Range Rover Velar. And we're going to go take this SUV on a drive now. Before we do that, let's go take a quick tour of the exterior and a little bit of a brief interior overview, because there's a bit of some changes for the 2024 model year, and especially if you guys have not checked out my full tour and review. Let's go hop outside real quick. We have an all-new color here for 2024 called Zadar or Zadar Gray. Heard people pronounce it a few different ways. We have some new headlight designs as well, new bumper and grille design, a little bit sleeker and slimmer, as well as new wheel designs. And it's all very minimal changes, I would say, but I think it makes it look a little bit more in line with the new Range Rover Sports design. And I think the Velar itself is just a timeless looking vehicle. It's just really gorgeous looking all around, and that part of it really captures that baby Range Rover-esque essence the best, even better than the Evoque does. Check out these new updated taillights and a bit of a sleeker rear bumper design of those pop-out door handles. And of course, this is the cloud gray and black leather interior here. A little bit of some smaller seats in the back seat. Of course, this isn't the biggest vehicle at the end of the day. Let's hop inside though and take this thing for a drive. Standard Meridian audio system on this one as well. You can see our open pore wood trim on this interior. And let's head off. Before we do so though, let's pop it into reverse and we can check out our single camera on this particular Range Rover. We have our reverse mirror tilt assist when we put it in reverse. You can see our, again, one single rear camera. This one does not have the 360 camera package that is available, even though it's around $80,000. Very crystal clear quality. We do thankfully have 360 parking sensors though, which is a nice touch. And popping into drive is pretty easy as well. We can just head off there. Let's pop open Apple CarPlay. Really beautiful, crisp Apple CarPlay on this display. And of course, we have the P400 powertrain. If you haven't checked out my full tour and review, that is a 3-liter turbocharged and supercharged mild hybrid inline 6, making just under 400 horsepower and just over 400 pound-feet of torque. I'm going through all 4 wheels through a ZF 8-speed automatic gearbox here of Land Rover's own tuning. And right off the bat from the Velar, you understand, I think, a little bit of where all that money is going when you're paying for this vehicle. A, it's in styling, which is one of the 3 main pillars that Land Rover and Range Rover took when developing this vehicle. Second, it's just utmost luxury, and that is where you really experience it in the ride and those really crisp, refined, subtle, minimalistic style details that they've really worked out here. This thing, I call this the bump erasing suspension. It's like so comfortable and quiet in here. It really is like on the levels of something like the 7 Series from BMW. And that was one of the closest vehicles that came to mind when experiencing just how isolated in terms of sound, any sort of vibrations or noise this cabin is from the exterior. The glass is acoustically laminated. We have really fantastic sound insulation in the body structure. And everything, and I mean absolutely every aspect of this powertrain and drive experience has this buttery smoothness to it that really encapsulates that whole Range Rover experience. Everything from the throttle pedal, very light, smooth applications, which pairs equally as well with this super smooth V inline 6 engine under the hood here. Of course, mild hybrid and turbo and supercharged. It's just fantastically smooth powertrain. And we're driving now in comfort mode. We can pop it into eco mode here, and the throttle gets even lighter and more smoother. It's a really nice, comfortable experience, and you're just wafting along essentially. And this does not even have the air suspension upgrade package, and I honestly don't think you need it. I think the air suspension package, from what I've seen from reviews, is a fantastic air suspension, don't get me wrong, but I think it's going to let a little bit more noise and actually bumps and jitters into the cabin versus this standard suspension, which I think is just fantastic. You don't even need that air suspension package. It's that good in this Velar, and that is where I think this thing is its absolute best, just cruising along. Remember, this is a luxury vehicle. If you want a sporty Range Rover, go for the Range Rover Sport. This is not a sporting Range Rover. This is a luxury vehicle. And other than the driving experience, the big things, of course, of 2024 are the minor exterior revisions as well as interior changes here. And it's so minimalistic and simple in here. You might think you're in a Volvo at this point because that's kind of like their thing, but this is now Range Rover's new thing, and it works and doesn't work, I think, in some areas. Some controls are very easy to move and access from the steering wheel, such as your drive modes. I can quickly just change them on the fly. I pop it here into dynamic mode. Now you can get adaptive all suspension and all these different features with this dynamic pro package that you can get, but this one does not have it, so you do kind of lose all those individual customizable features. And coming around this corner here, you can see the large amounts of body roll, I guess just from me leaning over from the forces here, that the Velar has. And you know, that's another emphasis here, that this is a luxury, floaty, comfortable vehicle and not a sporting vehicle. So that being said, this P400 powertrain does offer plenty of punch when needed, and it makes a nice, unfortunately fake augmented sound of that inline six sound. I think it's just amplified from the engine. Oh my gosh, there's so much body roll here. But it handles itself well. It doesn't feel like it's all over the road. It's just this natural, very comfortable, soothing, progressive, luxurious type of body roll. And I'm not just making up words here. That's just the best way I have to describe it. Oh my gosh, this thing really, once it's in that power band, it just punches you off the line. Really impressive, actually. And it's just this smooth, buttery transition between gears. You honestly don't even feel this transmission changing gears most of the time. It just kind of blends through all of them. And again, even at these higher highway speeds here, it's just silent in here. You do hear a little bit of wind rushing above you, but it's not any sort of buffeting or loud wind noise. It's just that quietness you kind of just hear in this cabin, and how it kind of just isolates you from everything. Now, on the downside of all this, even with this mild hybrid system, and I mentioned this in my full review, is the fuel economy on the Velar with the P400 powertrain, the inline six, is just a little bit on the lower end of the segment here. You're really going to see on average under 20 miles per gallon in your day-to-day driving experience. If you're kind of a little more careful with your driving experience and driving in, you know, eco and comfort all the time, you may see 20 plus mpg. Really, if you're really hypermiling it in a sense, really being very careful, I've seen up to 24, 25, but again, that's really not what you're going to be seeing on the daily average. Especially in the city, it doesn't typically get the best fuel economy. It does, the 48 volt system does like to shut the engine off a lot when you're coming to like a full stop. It'll try to coast and regen to kind of fill up that battery a little bit, but it just isn't the most fuel efficient powertrain. I think it has to do a little bit with that interesting supercharger turbocharger setup they have going on there. I think if they just went with the turbo and the 48 volt mild hybrid, it would be a little bit more efficient. Now we're out here on the highway. I do want to demonstrate to you guys the adaptive safety systems that we have on this particular vehicle here. So we're going to pop open our safety display, or driver assistance display here. So this is primarily just focused on driver assistance. You don't have to use this. Every of the displays has a driver assistance section to it. So I just want to demonstrate this for you guys. But on our right hand side of a steering wheel here, we have all of our controls to turn on our adaptive cruise control. Very simple to use. You just pop it on once and it turns on your speed limiter, so they'll set it to a speed limit. Pop it again and you're in the adaptive cruise control setting, and you set your speed and you're on. So it does have lane keep assist, so it's going to keep you in the lane. It's going to follow those lanes as well, so it's going to have that steering assist effect as well to it, which I quite like, and it works generally quite well. Now, it's not a hands-off system. You do need to have your hands on the vehicle's steering wheel at all times for the system. It will alert you about that as well, and you can very easily adjust your following distance with these buttons right here on the steering wheel. It's a very simple system to use, and I think it works generally quite well. I wouldn't say it's the most confidence-inspiring system. I've had some instances where it kind of not necessarily, I wouldn't say glitches, but it feels like it just like pulls you a little too hard, a little too quick into a lane, or maybe out of a lane, or it thinks a lane's carving in a different direction. I have experienced that a little bit over the course of this week, but it's really nothing too major. That's kind of some stuff you'll experience in some other vehicles as well. So it's, again, not the highest rated adaptive cruise control style system here, but it's definitely a good one. And I do like the visual interpretation of what's happening on your display here. You have a little bit of a tiny Velar there, as well as a steering wheel telling you to keep your hands on the wheel at all times, to remind you that this is not a full self-driving vehicle. Now, one thing you will need to note, and if you're really nitpicky with your features here, you're going to notice that this doesn't have any sort of like lane change assist or anything. It actually just shuts off your lane keep assist, like more basic systems do, to just ease you into in and out of lanes, so it's not fighting you. But some cheaper vehicles do even offer that, well, gimmicky, that lane change assist function. If you do, or a few people that like it, you're not going to get it here. But again, that's a very small feature request that I don't think many people are really looking for. Coming to a stop here, brakes, again, very smooth and progressive, though I would say this pedal could use a little bit more firmness to it. I think that would inspire a little bit more confidence in the braking system here on the Velar. I'm not saying it's not a confident system, it's just this brake pedal has a little bit more of a long pedal travel in pretty much all applications to it. It feels a little bit spongy on some applications. So I guess that in that sense, that buttery smooth tuning we have to every other aspect of the Velar might need to be toned down a little bit on the braking front. Again, coming through those corners here, lots of lean and body roll, but powering through the corners, you have that glorious inline six that just gets you up to speed nice and quickly with a really nice strong sound to it as well, and pull from that power band. Thankfully, we have this really fantastic standard Meridian audio system, and I really wasn't a fan actually of the Meridian audio system in the Defender I had for review a few months ago. I just didn't think it really lived up to the standards, and that was an option actually on that vehicle. But this particular one, this Range Rover's Meridian audio system as a standard feature is actually quite good, and we're going to do our audio test here now to get you guys a little bit of a demonstration of said speaker system. So let's have a little bit of a go here. Turn up our audio just a little bit. And you do have the ability to adjust your treble, bass, and subwoofer in this particular audio settings, as well as your center point controls. That's pretty much all of the audio controls you have in this vehicle, and they're pretty good and easy to play with. I just wish there was a little bit more in terms of equalizer adjustment. If you want to get a little bit more nitpicky, that'd be nice for this $80,000 price point and this particular luxury vehicle. At this higher price point of around $80,000 that this particular Velar is coming in on, and it's really not highly specified. And being in the compact luxury SUV class, there is just so much competition that if you really aren't a diehard Range Rover fan, you need that style, you need that status, you need that nameplate, and you need that gorgeous and reductive design, and it fits your lifestyle, go right ahead. But there's just a lot of competition. You definitely are going to want to consider all of your options before making a choice in this particular segment, because it's ranging all the way down in the 40 grand range up to this Velar that goes towards $100,000, and its real prime competitors, what I think are the Macan, the Grecale, and that kind of space of vehicle. Anyways, guys, thank you for joining me on this full tour and review and drive of the 2024 Range Rover Velar. I hope you enjoyed this review, and as always, stay tuned for more coming soon on All Cars. Cheers.